another video here. Haven't gotten as many live streams and videos going as I would have liked, but been a bit under the weather here. So getting back to things, and hope to be streaming and recording pretty much daily here. So I thought today we'd talk a little bit about tone, kind of start off kind of light, not too in depth or anything. So I've got this solid body guitar here. It's sort of in the tradition of the Gibson Les Paul sort of guitar. So a lot of rock kind of things, or maybe fusion sort of things have been played on this type of instrument. And so I wanted to go through some of the tonal sort of possibilities of the tune. So I'll talk a little bit about, well, maybe I'll play it a little bit. Pretty simple setup. I just have a couple microphones here. One is just for voice, and the other one is kind of on the microphone, or on the cabinet, and just an inch or two away from the grill cloth there. So I put some pretty light strings on these, and so I'll go over a little bit of kind of the setup. Put some pretty light gauge strings on after having maybe 11s, I think, on this before. And so now I played around with 8 or 9. No, it was 9. And because of working through some kind of rock solos with a lot of bending, I'm just finding it really difficult, especially on the third string, to bend that. So I used 9 gauge for a little while, and then I basically just used kind of a spare set of D'Addarios that I have in the studio for replacing strings if someone breaks a string or something. So then I found these strings, which are also D'Addario, nothing too fancy, but they are a 9.5 gauge. And I think the second string is also a half gauge too. So let me see if I can find that set really quick, so I can just talk a little bit about it. And then while I'm looking for that, so a couple of things, keep in mind as you're thinking about tone and all that is type of strings you're using, the type of pick you're using, and how your fingers, especially the fretting hand fingers, relate to the strings and the frets, how they kind of interact there. All right, so this set of strings I just put on here, D'Addario NYXL high carbon steel alloy. Okay, 9.5 through 44. So it's got 9.5 on the E string, 11.5 on the B, 16 on the G, 24 on the D, 34 on the A, and 44 on the E. And I think I need to raise the bridge a little bit, because I'm finding that the strings, I feel like if I could dig into them a little bit more, they wouldn't kind of rattle against the other frets up above. So it sounds like there's a little tinniness there that's going on. So the strings, that's going to be a big component of it. The pick, now I'm using this blue chip pick So kind of an expensive, don't lose sort of pick. So I always kind of keep it in one place. So that I really like the hard pick, but it's helpful to, and I keep a bunch of picks for my students who come in, and I keep a variety of Fender, so Fender mediums, Fender heavy, and thin. So that's going to have different effects on the sound too. So let's hear what the thin pick sounds like. So one thing that the thin pick can help with is maybe strumming, doing more kind of getting all the strings. And it's going to give a very little resistance, so you can kind of glide over. Also, it's going to clear the string with very minimal resistance. So if you do single string passages, so if you're doing something a little quicker, you might benefit from the lighter gauge pick. So let me switch to one of the medium picks here. So the medium, the sound is going to, I think, benefit from being a little sturdier. So but you're going to give up a little bit of that flexibility, and so it might not pass over the string quite as well, but it sort of sits in the middle there. Now a heavy string or heavy pick, that's going to really give you a nice, really solid sound. And so I'm checking this out. So this I'd have to look up the exact depth on these picks, but this blue chip pick seems more similar to the heavy pick than it does to the medium. Right. So the heavier pick, you might give up a little bit of the speed with the picking hand and gain a little bit of that more weight to the tone, if you will. All right. So there's the pick. And then if you're using fingers, that's also going to be a factor too. So if you use a finger and a nail, get a little bit of flesh and a little bit of nail on there, that's going to make a difference. If you just use flesh only, that's going to be a factor as well. Now with the picking hand, we can actually set notes in motion just with the picking hand, right? If we kind of forcefully enough put our fingers on a note, okay, then that's going to give us a particular sound. So the one thing there, I don't know about tone necessarily, production with the left hand, and maybe I'll have to look into anyone who's kind of studied these sorts of things. But the finger, it's holding it down, right? And then you're getting basically the fret and changing the distance. So I would think that the pick and the picking hand in general would have more to do with the tone than the fretting hand. I could be wrong, but anyway, there are a couple of things that maybe are not as tone sensitive, but are kind of clarity sensitive. So if you play your finger, we might say that's tone 2. But so if you play your finger too too far away from the fret and you don't press hard enough, you're going to get this sort of ragged buzzing sort of tone, which is generally probably undesirable. So you're probably going to get your most optimal tone from just keeping the finger really close to the fret. So I don't know if that necessarily affects the tone, but that's going to probably make the tone as good as it can be. And so I don't know if, but I have to think about this a little bit more, but the skin or the callus that sits on the string itself, I'm not sure if that's going to affect anything, right? Because the string is sitting on the fret there. So maybe if you were on a fretless or something like that, maybe that would kind of make a difference. But so I oftentimes think about the fretting hand as more like giving the optimal situation for the tone to be produced, so that you're not working against your tone in any way. So those are kind of the first things I would say: the hands and the pick and the strings. Right. So we have these are round wound strings, and so flat wound, you're going to get a slightly different sound, and you're not going to get as much kind of squeaking sounds from the sort of horizontal playing. So a lot of factors come in down the line. So the guitar, if you have a good build with good quality wood and all that, good transfer of the vibration from the bridge into the wood and all that, then the guitar is going to feel good, I would say, just kind of holding it, and, the transfer of the energy is all solid. And then the pickups and their placement are going to be another factor in the tone. So that's the tone that's being sent down the line right through the guitar cable. So right now I have it set on the neck side pickup, and let's turn the brightness all the way up. So that's the brightest setting. Now let's go kind of the opposite extreme. We're gonna dial it up a little bit. And up a bit more. So really a variety of sounds with the tone knob. Right. So probably won't get into the individual selections of the humbucker versus parallel or parallel humbucker versus the single coil, so the coil tap thing. But I'll leave that for another talk. But basically, we go into the bridge side here, and just like if you pick closer to the bridge, the pickup that sits close to the bridge will get a brighter sort of tone. So this is all the way up. Okay, let's go all the way down. And move it around there. And then you can blend, both of the pickups. All right. So that goes down the line through to an amplifier. Now I'm using this kind of on my desktop here. I'm using this Quilter Interblock 45, and and so I basically have all of the tone settings on kind of noon or 12 o'clock. And usually I don't mess around with those too much unless I'm feeling like there's a kind of a problem with anything, but or just want a little brighter sound. And then the gain and the volume kind of similar. The gain up a little bit above noon here. Now, if you set the gain really high up, and then you move the volume in the opposite direction, usually get a little more warmth around the sound, and maybe a little more kind of break up, especially if you're going at higher volumes and things. All right, and then so from actually just before there, I've got a little bit of reverb happening. So let me turn that off. So reverb on. Okay. And then going into the speaker cabinet. So I've got this Mesa Boogie Lone Star 2x12. And then, and I was noticing the other day, I was watching some Pat Martino videos, and noticed that he was playing through a Mesa cabinet as well. But he had a different model. I'm not sure the model, but a different model. But that was kind of interesting. All right, so that is kind of the tone that we're working with. So the speakers and how they sound, and then the cabinet, the wood and the quality of that wood, and the build will also affect that as well. I think maybe in a similar way to the guitar, itself. So can it handle those resonances of the speaker as those vibrate and move in and out, and then I believe the quality of the sound is also dependent on the cabinet as well as the speaker. Okay, and then going into a microphone. Here we have this Neumann TLM 193. In this case, on this setup. So just to kind of review where you pick, I was watching a little performance or video of Eric Johnson playing just this morning, and you'll notice that he's playing sometimes over here, sometimes over here. So closer to the neck, you're going to get warmer sound. Closer to the bridge, you're going to get much brighter sound. And then in the middle. So we can use all of those locations to help shape the tone. So if you're looking for a slightly brighter sound, you don't even need to work on the tone, although you can, the tone knob, but you can move your pick closer. And another thing that I do is, so sometimes I'll use the pointed side of the pick, and other times I might use more of the rounded side of the pick. So that's sort of the rounded side. And then the pointer side. So I kind of like the round more the gradual slope of the pick, and then the heavier pick. But depending on what you're doing and what you're needing to do, that might not always be the kind of ideal situation. So you might turn it around and play with the pointer side of the pick as well. So a couple things I'm going to do setup wise on this is I'm going to raise this bridge just a little bit, and just to accommodate these strings, because they seem a little bit loose. So when you have the lower gauge strings, they can tend to feel a little bit loose on the strings. When you have a higher gauge going to the same note, then it's going to be a higher tension to get to that note. So sometimes things can be a little bit loose. Now this scale length is not particularly long. I think it's probably 24 3/4, something like that. And so if you're playing on more of like a longer scale, like on a Stratocaster or something like that, then you may find moving to a a lower gauge will work out for you if with that longer string length. And then you might even try tuning the guitar down a half step and then maybe bumping up the gauge. So it's a little bit of an experimental process that you want to kind of go through, to experiment with a few different strings and things. All right, everybody. Well, that will conclude our talk today. Should be back tomorrow. And hope everybody has a great practice session. If you're checking this out on the podcast, you can see video of this if you become a member. Practice Ideas and Concepts on the YouTube channel. Check out the link below for that. And if you are already a member, thanks for being a member. And I hope you enjoy this live stream. I'll see you all in the next one.